Good morning, one and all, and welcome to our worship service at the First Unitarian Society of Ithaca. Here we gather, nurturing our connections, seeking inspiration, and embracing change. My name is Emily Richards, and I am so pleased to be your celebrations associate today. Thank you so much for joining us, those of you who are here in person and those watching at home. It feels especially good to be here together today. Please check our website for more information about how to create connections. If you'd like to receive updates describing opportunities for engagement, please email a request to the office at office@uuithaca.org. Newcomers are especially invited to visit our website and complete a newcomer form. Our service this morning is being live streamed from our sanctuary in downtown Ithaca and will be available for later viewing as well on our YouTube channel. We have a couple of announcements this morning. Today is our spring cleaning volunteer day starting at noon. There will be tasks inside and out for all abilities and ages. Run home and grab your garden tools and kneeling pads if you want to work outside, although maybe you also need to grab a raincoat if that was your plan. We will also need people with large vehicles to help take recycling, trash, and other items to solid waste and reuse. A huge thank you to Sarah Catterall for organizing this and for her constant upkeep of the buildings and grounds. So RE events, we were supposed to walk at Taganic today, and for the second time, we have thunderstorms in the forecast, so I'm gonna invite anyone that was planning to do that to come on in and help with our spring cleaning volunteer day instead. Next Sunday, we're having a pizza party at Treeman at 12:30, and everyone is invited. I just ask that you let me know so I know how much pizza to purchase. And we're pleased to announce that this Tuesday at Liquid State, Pub Theology is back at 6:30 p.m. So come and join me. I'm going to be there for some great conversation and drinks. Also, please make sure that you have the annual meeting on your calendar with a reminder notification. It is this Wednesday at 6 p.m. You can attend here in person or virtually, and all voting members are strongly encouraged to participate. As a reminder, you needed to have signed the book at least 30 days ago in order to vote in the annual meeting. So not only are we electing new board members and voting for next year's budget, but this is also your chance to cast your vote for the 8th principal proposal. So then I'm going to invite two people up for further announcements. I'm going to invite Stephanie up first, and then when she is done, I'm going to invite Peggy McKernan, who's going to tell you a little bit about the program the Social Justice Committee has named for our shared plate this month, which is the Alliance of Families for Justice.
Hello again. I'm Stephanie Ortolano, your music director here. I am speaking now on behalf of all of the staff team. We, the staff of First Unitarian Society of Ithaca, unanimously support the adoption of the 8th principle. As religious professionals serving this beloved community, we believe that making this decisive statement, acknowledging the historic and systemic inequalities that continue to cause harm to BIPOC individuals, and pledging to participate in necessary transformational change is an important first step towards spiritual wholeness. We support this intentional shift towards accountable action and becoming a truly justice-centered society. This support comes in part from listening to the voices of BIPOC individuals within the wider UU community, from the wisdom of our colleagues in UU professional organizations, most importantly BLUE, which is the Black Lives of UU, and also the UUA, UUMA, Loretta, which is the group for religious educators, AUM, which is the group for music ministers, DRUM, and ARE, and from the needs of members of our own congregation, especially those of our families and youth. We have an opportunity here at FUSIT to answer the call of love, to say that living into our values and our principles means voting to adopt the 8th principle and the call for justice that it promotes for the good of all. And now, I'm going to invite Peggy McKernan to come up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Peggy McKernan, and I'm here just to tell you about the Shared Plate program for this month that was chosen by the Social Justice Committee. It's called the Alliance of Families for Justice. It's an organization in New York City and in Ithaca, but it's in New York City mainly dedicated to the support of people who have families in prison. And the main office is in Harlem, and now we have a little satellite office here, which is really exciting for us. Anyway, they do lots of work with usually mothers and wives and kids who are dealing with the loss of their family member and their wage earner. They offer legal advice, financial counseling, support workshops. They call them empowerment workshops. It's the new word, I think, for support. And they're just really trying to make a community of the people in Harlem who are dealing with such terrible times in the isolation. So that's what's happening in Harlem. And now here in Ithaca, we have the satellite office. And our job is to help the people who come from New York City to visit their relatives who are prisoners in the hospitals. And that sounds like a little thing, but I've heard horror stories from people who have come up here. I think if you live in New York City, it's a very strange world up here. It's quite an adjustment. And there have been mothers with kids who have said they've gotten lost, they haven't had the money for the cabs, they've gotten to the prison and been turned down for the wrong clothes, and just really disrespected by the correction officers. So our jobs here are, to talk with them beforehand, make sure everybody understands the rules before they come up to this area, and then to help them arrange transportation and lodging. To support, sometimes they bring their children and they need child care, and we can give them rides whenever they need it, and basically just be on call for when something bad happens. They have a safety net. We're here. They have a phone number, and somebody will always answer it. So that's the project. It's a small project, but I think it's really worthwhile. It's not going to change the world, but it will certainly make life easier for people who are struggling with so many obstacles in their lives. So anybody who wants to volunteer, I'll be in coffee hour. I can at least take your name and update you on our plans, so let me know if anyone is interested. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Peggy. Please join, I'm gonna invite up Gwendolyn and Alindria to light our chalice today. Please join me in saying the chalice lighting words in your order of service. Go ahead. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. You need help? I am so thrilled to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Nia Nunn. Dr. Nia completed her PhD in school psychology at Michigan State University in 2011 with a BA in early childhood education at Clark Atlanta University in 2003. Currently an Ithaca College Associate Professor of Education and Psychology and Board of Directors President of Southside Community Center, Dr. Nia is the creator of programs and research designed to empower and uplift the voices of youth, particularly young Black women and girls. A mother to 3 boys, a poet, dancer, and yogi, Dr. Nia is the embodier of radiance, empowerment, and permission.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you. And thank you for lighting and connecting up here. I feel this piece that I'm going to share is directly linked to the voice we just recently shared. The path to inner peace. Sacrifices must be made to live one's truth, though there comes great reward for those who are tried and true. There is magic in the journey and the heaven we can find when one works the authentic road and leaves their fears behind. New awakenings come to light and the soul reveals its truth. Illusions fade away and new realities break through. The path is for a few, as there are things that one must do. They often walk alone with no one to hold on to. Blessed are the ones who seek positive change. They will find the light inside, never to be the same.
I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and join us in our opening hymn, number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. Good morning, friends. I would like to invite anyone at all who would like to come up and join me in the front to come on up now and help me take a look and see what is in our Wonder Box. You don't have to be shy, this is for everyone. All right, go ahead and open it up for me. Woo. You start pulling things out. There's a couple things in here today. Yeah. So they have a couple of mirrors here, as well as some special crayons and markers. And if you look, there's some paper here. And if anyone is feeling artistic, you could even come up and grab some and take it back to your seat. So we have our mirrors here. How many of you have some kind of mirror at home? Yeah, like most of us have a mirror. How often do you look in them? Every day? A couple times a day? Has anyone ever looked in a mirror and not been 100% happy with what they see? Maybe you were having a bad hair day. Maybe there's like a bit of breakfast or toothpaste on your cheek. Maybe you lost a tooth and now your smile looks different. Maybe you're the only one you know that has freckles or a scar. We can all have moments when we get down on ourselves and may not love what we see when we look in a mirror. But it is so important to remember that we are all beautiful. I invite everyone to take your hands and put it out in front of you now. When you take a look at your hand and the unique shade that is you, I just need you to take a look around and look at all the other beautiful skin tones that are represented here today. We are all radiating beauty. For a long time, there was no way to capture all of this beauty when drawing and coloring, but in 1992, and they have them down there, these beautiful skin tone markers were invented. Now there are skin tone markers and crayons and colored pencils and even paints with up to 24 different skin tones. Companies created these because they know how important it is for all of us to be able to capture our beauty, our own beauty, and to celebrate all that makes us us. So I'm going to invite my friends up here to take your piece of paper, and if you'd like, you can trace your hand, or you can trace a couple of hands on there, and go ahead and make some art celebrating the shades that make up people while I read you this story. I have this book with me today. This is Sulwe by Lupita Nyong'o. This is a story about a little girl who's unhappy with the way she looks, and about how she learns to appreciate and celebrate her skin tone and its beauty. You all can always come forward so you can see the pictures better too. This is a lovely one. Sulwe was born the color of midnight. She looked nothing like her family, not even a little, not even at all. Mama was the color of dawn, Baba the color of dusk, and Mish, her sister, was the color of high noon. Hardly anyone at school looked like Sulwe either. People gave her sister Mish pet names like Sunshine and Ray and Beauty. People gave Sulwe names like Blackie and Darky and Night. Sulwe felt hurt every time. So she hid away while her sister made lots of friends. Sulwe dreamed of being the same color as her sister. She wanted real friends, too. So she got the biggest eraser she could find and tried to rub off a layer or two of her darkness. Ouch! That hurt. She crept into Mama's room and helped herself to her makeup. Oh no, she would hear about this from Mama. Sulwe decided to work from the inside out and ate only the lightest, brightest foods. With a stomachache, she went to bed early and turned to God for a miracle. Dear Lord, why do I look like midnight when my mother looks like dawn? Please make me as fair as the parents I'm from. I want to be beautiful, not just to pretend. I want to have daylight. I want to have friends. If you hear me, my Lord, and would like to comply, may I wake up as bright as the sun in the sky? Amen. When Mama came in to wake her for school the next morning, Sulwe rose to find not a trace of daylight in her midnight skin. Sulwei told Mama everything. Mama asked, "What is your name?" "Sulwei," she muttered. "And what does it mean?" "Star," Sulwei whispered. "Brightness is not in your skin, my love. Brightness is just who you are. As for beauty," Mama said, rubbing Sulwei's stomach the way she always did to comfort her, "you are beautiful." Sulwei sighed. "Well, you are beautiful to me, but you can't rely on what you look like to make you feel beautiful, my sweet. Real beauty comes from your mind and your heart. It begins with how you see yourself, not how others see you. Now, up you get, and out you go." How could she, as dark as she was, have brightness in her? How could she have beauty when no one but her mother seemed to see it? How could she be a star? That night, a shooting star appeared at Sulwei's window. "The night sent me," the star said. "Come with me." Sulwei hopped onto the star, and off they went. "Long ago, at the beginning of time," said the star, "there was night and day, and they were sisters. They loved each other very much, but people didn't treat the sisters the same. People gave Day pet names like lovely and nice and pretty. People gave Night names like scary and bad and ugly. She felt hurt every time. Well, Night got fed up and walked right off the earth. Day stayed behind and enjoyed making everybody happy in the sun. And then Day grew too long. Day began to really miss her sister. So did everybody else. There had to be a way to get her back. Day set off to find Night, and she did. "I miss you," said Day. "I miss you too," said Night, "but you don't know what it's like to be treated badly for being dark." "You're right, I don't," Day replied, "but what I do know is that we need you just the way you are. Come and see." Night returned and the people rejoiced. "We need the darkest night to get the deepest rest. We need you so that we can grow and dream and keep our secrets to ourselves." The stars chimed in. "Brightness isn't just for daylight. Light comes in all colors, and some light can only be seen in the dark." While Day had a golden glow, with Night everything had a silver sheen, elegant and fine. Day told her sister, "When you are darkest is when you are most beautiful. It's when you are most you." Could it be that Night did not need to change? Not even a little? Not even at all? Now that Night and Day were back together, a little bit of Night returned to Day in the form of shadows, and a little bit of Day returned to Night in the form of moonlight. They were inseparable from that moment on and promised to celebrate the brightness in each other, whether people chose to see it or not. "You see," the star explained, "we need them both on their sunniest day and their darkest night, and every shade in between. Together, they make the world we know, light and dark, strong and beautiful." Sulwei rose the next morning, beaming. There would be no hiding anymore. She belonged out in the world, dark and beautiful, bright and strong. And if she ever needed a reminder of her brightness, she could look up at the sky on the darkest night to see for herself. Sulwei felt beautiful inside and out. Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful story with me this morning. Suwei is a story that holds up the struggle we can all sometimes face when it comes to loving, appreciating, and owning our own beauty. This story especially shines a light on the issues of colorism and self-esteem, and is based on author Lupita Nyong'o's own life growing up as a dark-skinned girl. I hope that all of you here today are able to see and appreciate your own beauty and the beauty of those around you, to celebrate the aspects of ourselves and one another that both make us unique and also connect us. May we all find ways to capture and share our appreciation for all of the shades that make up love.
Morning, everyone. In a spirit of love, care, and reverence, we take time now to bear witness to some of the joys and sorrows of our community, to share those events that call for our prayers and support, our praise and celebration. I have not one, not two, but three appreciations or joys today. Good day. Here's from Keith Perry. A note of gratitude to Fred Balfour for his good-natured and heroic efforts to solicit participation in facilitating Sunday services, ushering, and much, much more. I second that. And here's one from Nancy Miller. Our beloved Martha Ferger will celebrate her 98th birthday on May 26th. She has been a role model for us here at First Unitarian of Ithaca for decades. She led the Social Justice Council for many, many years, started the recycle sale, and so much more. You are invited to send cards to her at 9 Coventry Way in Ithaca. Her daughter, Carol, will deliver them to Martha, who recently moved into Bridges Assisted Living Center in Cornell Heights. And finally, this from Barbara Shue. Jennifer Stridemullen and Beth Howard should be lauded for the many hours spent organizing, leading discussions, and communicating to our congregation the background and reasons for adopting the 8th principle. Jennifer is now living in Michigan, but has driven back and forth to lead discussions and has facilitated many virtual meetings related to the 8th principle, while moving and unpacking and taking care of a grandchild. Beth, with valuable technical help from her husband, Russ, have contributed the same efforts while preparing to move themselves away from Ithaca. These dedicated members of our society have been indispensable in their efforts for the 8th principle, and we thank them. For those we are holding in our thoughts, in our hearts, and perhaps in our prayers, let us call these names out loud into this community, into this space of healing and hope right now. We extend loving kindness to all in our world. And let us not forget to extend loving kindness to ourselves. Today, tomorrow, and beyond, let our hands be outstretched in kindness, and let us keep showing up to our lives and to each other with an open heart, no matter what. Love and courage to us all. Amen.
Greetings again. A joy to share with you once again. I neglected to mention the author's name. Matteo Klein is the poet that I'm reading last and right now. Her awakening. As she awakened, she came to hear the voice of spirit. She began to notice a conscious presence of life in all things. The rivers, lakes, and streams spoke to her, and as she walked, she could feel an awareness in the land around her. She began to communicate with the elements and obtained wisdoms that guided and empowered her. She felt loved and supported during these times. At some point, it all appeared to be a path guiding her into the knowledge of self, as she was made aware of the true essence of who she was. She was a fragment of the creative source, discovering herself in all things.
We're going to be singing the beauty chant yet again. You can rise if you want to and do the movements. Remember, we will be turning ourselves around, or you can sit where you are and just use your hands and follow me. Emily's going to be demonstrating a couple of harmony options if you want to join along with her, or you can just stick with me on the melody. Beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beneath me, and beauty above, beauty beside me and all around me, beauty encircle me with love, beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beneath me, and beauty above, beauty beside me and all around me, beauty encircle me with love, beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beneath me, and beauty above, beauty beside me and all around me, beauty encircle me with love, beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beneath me, and beauty above, beauty beside me and all around, beauty encircle me with love, beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beneath me, and beauty above, beauty beside me and all around, beauty encircle me with love, beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beneath me, and beauty above, beauty beside me and all around me, beauty encircle me with love.
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of this congregation and its presence in Ithaca. The giving information is shown in the order of service. For those watching remotely, the text number and website will appear on your screen during the offertory music and in the information below the live stream image on YouTube. Giving to the plate is important. It's a symbol of our gratitude for this service and our ongoing commitment to support the work of this church. So please, take a moment and give through either the text option or the giving button on the church website. If you are here attending in person and would prefer to write a check, you can place your offering in the box by the door when you exit after the service. please join me in saying the offertory words printed in your order of service. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond.
Again, it is a true joy to have been invited to be here today, to be here with you all. And I'll get into my sharing in a moment, but I will say, before reading a poem that I actually wrote, that it's so beautiful to hear Emily's voice again. We grew up together here in Ithaca, but so I'm inspired to share a piece that I have written, particularly after hearing Sule. This piece is called For My People. This is for my people, committed to a culture of healing, ongoing spiritual awakenings, truth in self-discovery. For my people pressed up early morning rise, deep in pigeon poses, that sexy vinyasa, pyramid savasana, release. Inhale, lift up, exhale, twist. Go deeper, even if just a sip. For my people indulging in pleasures, delicious tastes, glorious touch. For my people loved, unloved, seen, unseen, captured and released. For my people grounded, resilient, gifted with an abundance of joy. For my people who can entertain themselves, alone time never lonely. Thank you, goddesses. For my people embracing their imperfections, confronting and owning flaws, from stretch marks to perceived to be naughty choices. For my people, the adorable Black girl, curious, quirky, inquisitive, hungry for learning, teaching, low-key, high-key nerd, over and over and over again. For my people deemed so articulate, both tokenized and despised, feared yet fetishized, a representative unique, appetizing isolation. This is for my people, committed to a culture of healing, ongoing spiritual awakenings, truth in self-discovery. For my people no longer concerned with proving her worth. For my people respectfully no longer demanding a seat at the table, or bringing folding chairs. Instead, this is for my people building their own tables. For my people who know their value, even if sometimes her behavior says otherwise. For my people overzealous, overachieving, binge-eating ideas, skipping meals, creative juices overflowing. Executive functioning out of whack, answers unknowing. This is for my people, committed to a culture of healing, ongoing spiritual awakenings, truth in self-discovery. For my people, eager to confront and release all the insecurities, the traumas, the fears, illusions of barriers, no longer to be driven or scared away. For my people who just need reminders that they are already free, liberated, and with a plethora of self-knowledge, nurturing spiritual release, and let the universe do its thing. For my people discovering their roots, their center, their core. For my people who love to be Black, who love Blackness religiously, rebelliously, effortlessly. African-centered explorations, dual citizenship aspirations remain and never lost. Sankofa bird ancestors speak. This is for my people who need to just listen. For my people determined to claim their place and their space in the future. For my people ready to boss up. For my people who need to just stop playing and glow up. Live with intention, aging with grace, a deeper beauty, purpose. This is for my people, committed to a culture of healing, ongoing spiritual awakenings, truth and self-discovery. This is for my people. Thank you. And so I am going to set my timer, because if there's anything I love to do, it's to share, to storytell, to engage an audience in a different level of consciousness. It's my true joy and true passion. And so again, my name is Dr. Nia Nunn, and the young people and folks throughout our community call me Dr. Nia, as I was a school psychologist for many years, and I enrolled second graders in my dissertation and everything. And when I finished, they said, "You are no longer Miss Nia, you are Dr. Nia." And it stuck, and it sticks, and it feels great. And so please feel free to call me that. And so today, I wanted to speak on this conversation of true joy, and the true joy that we bring and can potentially bring in every space that we enter. In fact, a common question that I asked everyone throughout the pandemic experience was, what has been bringing you joy? Far different than how are you? We ask, how are you? We often answer, well, I'm fine, I'm good, no matter what the circumstance. And sometimes I used to switch it up and say, it's good to see you, because it is. And I mean it when I say that. But when I truly allocate and honor the time to ask someone what has been bringing you joy, I stop and I listen very differently. And as a scholar, as a researcher, this has been an incredible year of learning people, learning circumstances, and despite significant varieties of pain, the ways in which we can give ourselves permission to pause and identify the taste of joy in our lives. Even if it's a moment of our breath, I mean, the answers that came from people were extraordinary. And then even a year later, sometimes people would say, hey, remember when you asked me that question? It happens all the time. So I give you that gift to take a moment and think about what is bringing you joy, and to carry the question with you. Ask someone today, someone you know, someone you don't know. It's an extraordinary journey. And so stuff like that. That's the kind of joy I like to bring with me wherever I go. And it's not always easy. Sometimes it takes me needing to pause and reflect on the depth of my gratitude. And so I do that. And that's a significant part of my work as I nurture and raise communities of young people. And I mean raise them to the point where those second graders are now 22 and some of them have children. It's wild. But I love growing up in Ithaca, born and raised. This is my home, my roots. And Ithaca has its beauties. Ithaca has its flaws. And so much of my core is teaching and learning, like my poems are real. And as part of that, I'm quite unapologetic in my teaching. And so central to my work is, in fact, Black consciousness. Black consciousness. I encourage audiences, students, future teachers, because I believe everybody's some kind of teacher, to take the time and reflect on and expand upon your Black consciousness. What am I talking about? And why? Well, let's go to the why. The reality is anti-Blackness is so real and so prevalent. See, my parents, 2 Black people, chose to raise me here in Ithaca, New York, a predominantly white community. And so I tell them all the time, I must have been some kind of social experiment for them or something. Because these are 2 pro-Black people that taught me immediately to love my Blackness and the people that I come from, despite the regular ongoing messages that teach me not to love being Black, not to love the people that I come from. So I identify as a Black American woman, right? My roots are the roots embedded in enslavement in this country. Usually you can tell by our last names, right? Because today, as Black people of this diaspora, we carry slave names. And so my consciousness of my Blackness is daily. And so thank goodness for my parents, because anti-Blackness is real and regular. And so I want to give you an opportunity to reflect on your Black consciousness. And with yourself, think about what you were taught. Go young. How young can you go in thinking about the messages that you received about Black people, about Blackness? And when you give yourself an opportunity to do that work, it invites a variety of emotions for a whole lot of us. But it's an incredible opportunity to think about the power of what we teach our children. The messages that are explicit, the messages that are implicit. So my work stems from my rearing. I teach communities of children and families to reflect on what they were taught, and I teach the power of something called Black joy. And when you have Black joy, first of all, it's something that we all can have. Whether you identify or are identified as Black or not, but it's up to you if you want some of this Black joy. And there are 2 real easy parts associated with the concept. The first one is being able to identify, like, aha, almost like a detective, the ways in which you are being taught or have been taught anti-Blackness, a fear of Black people, an idea of an inferiority. Having the ability to even acknowledge and name the ways in which those messages are delivered, because they're all over the place. So having the ability to identify that, and then 2, having the ability to recognize and identify the beauty, the brilliance, and the boldness of Black people. And so it's work that's quite rewarding, particularly when a different level of consciousness is welcomed, because it's possible when we make that choice. Some may refuse for a lifetime, but they're missing out. missing out on the transformation that is possible. And what can we do? Simply model. Model the beauty of having Black joy. So as part of it, my friends, it's an invitation to be critical of terminology. I know it's challenging. What in the world do we call groups and groups of people? And the names and titles, they keep changing and shifting, and terminology should shift. It's important that we think critically about the ways in which we use words and what we do with words. And sometimes we ruin words. And so we got to switch them up. We've got to switch them up. And so I say that to say, when you build and embrace and explore some of the depth of your Black consciousness, you carry a different level of criticality as it relates to terminology. And you can invite folks to do the same, right? And so, for example, the real tragic, traumatic circumstances of last weekend in Buffalo, New York, was a tragic circumstance and an attack on Black people. Not BIPOC, not minority, not POC, and I'm even cautious about African American, our claiming of an entire continent. There's so much depth to exploring Blackness, and particularly our identity as Black Americans. So allow yourself to be unapologetically specific and embrace an exploration at a different level of Black consciousness. As I've read that a part of your commitment is action-oriented. So embrace this action-oriented journey through Black consciousness. And that's my sharing for today. Thank you so much. Thank you for your listening. And thank you in advance for your sharing, because I expect that folks will continue the conversation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nia. I'm going to invite everyone to stand in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 121, We'll Build a Land.
We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We once faint and once weak, where like oaks of righteousness stand to people. Oh, come build the land, my people we seek. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
All right. I will be brief in closing and continue to express my gratitude and sense of liberation. I don't know, maybe it's just having turned 40. I feel so free. It's a whole nother world. But it's my honor to be here, you know, as I mentioned, my love for Ithaca and being born and raised in this space. I want more of us to love Ithaca, and so I'm committed to creating spaces and contributing to spaces where we love Ithaca and our children love Ithaca. And particularly our Black and brown babies of Ithaca, that they know that they are safe and valued, you know, able to access literacy, good housing, all kinds of basic things that are taught in all of the canon, these theoretical perspectives of basic needs. We are taught in this county that we have all of the resources that we need to interrupt structural poverty. So again, I'm excited about how you speak of action and the depth of education rooted in this work and experience together. So again, I thank you. I thank you for inviting me to the space and welcoming me. I'll be transitioning to Ithaca College for graduation shortly, but I'm happy to say hello to folks on the way out. So I thank you again.
As we extinguish the chalice, we gather the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action into our hearts and carry it forward into the dawning day. Go now in peace. Amen and blessed be.